Hola, hola. Hey, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hola, hola, hola. Welcome to another episode of Mujer de Exito Unbounded. Okay, today, ahora, is something a little bit more personal, right? I want to share my story about my sea adventure. So I want to share it because it's important, because it has built resiliency. When I was going through it, I couldn't see beyond the present moment. So, hola hermosas, welcome back to Mujer de Exito Unbounded. I am your host, Marti Angel, and this is the show for the ambitious Latina authors, and fearless mujeres ready to live a life without limits. That's Mujer de Exito Unbounded, woman of success without limits. I am your host, Marti Angel. I am a two-time sea thriver, former school principal, nutritionist with a functional diagnostic nutritionist, and a professor of the science of the cell. And I am your Latina biz coach. But here it is. Today, I want to share with you something that hits a little bit close to home. This one is personal. Este es personal. Today, I'm talking about the hardest word in the English language, the one no one teaches us. No one. The word is no. This is the day I said no to chemo. Why? Let me just share why no is the most powerful word. How many of you guys are exhausted from saying yes? Yes to the extra project. Yes to the dinner you don't want to go to. Yes to everyone else's needs but your own. Yes, because we're raised to be agreeable as mujer latinas. We're raised to be agreeable, mi amor. Pórtate bien, chiquita. Be nice. Don't make waves. Stay in your lane. All of those things were told to us. And culturally, out of respect for our madrecitas and papacitos, we did what they wanted us to do. And then one day, life hands you a question so big that nice doesn't work. Doesn't work anymore. And you have to find out who you really are when the answer is no. And let me tell you, I found out who I was in a doctor's office. And I want to tell you that story because so many of you have asked me about it. You see, I never told it all the way through, and that's because I'm a private person and I don't share much. I don't even share pictures of my daughters on Facebook, things like that. I just, I learned a long time ago when I was a principal of a middle school, the police officers came and they said, you're in the limelight. If you're in the limelight, keep your private life separate. So that's why many of you guys still don't know, but today I'm going to share with you. Ahora voy a compartir. So grab your cafecito, settle in, because this is a story that you haven't heard. Here's the scene. I am a science of the cell professor and a functional diagnostic nutritionist and a professor of health science at the college. And I spent my career, educating people on, I have a litany of things I used to teach, educating people on the science of the cell, algebra, college algebra, nutrition, yoga therapy, yoga, philosophy. I know how they work. Business. Oh yeah, business communication. I taught that for quite a while. And, so I know what my cells need, right? My cells. And one day, I believe it was a Tuesday. I want to say a Tuesday, but I'm not quite sure. I'm kind of venturing to say I'm listening to my guides and they're saying it was a Friday. Okay. So a doctor slides a piece of paper. I go to the doctor. He slides a piece of paper across his desk and says, you need to get your affairs in order because you may not be here in 6 months and you'll need to find someone to take care of your 6-month-old. And then he says, on Monday, we start chemo and radiation. That's the plan. And I'm listening. Mind you, I'm a good listener and I'm a good student. I was ready to become the principal for quite a few years. And let me tell you, as a principal, I know how to hear people out. And the whole time my doctor was sitting there, my brain was doing the math. Because here's what the standard protocol actually means. When they give you the protocol of chemo and radiation, basically what they're saying to you is we're going to pump your body with toxins and radiation that kill the fast dividing cells. Hopefully they'll kill the cancer cells first, but your hair will also fall out. Your gut lining will be destroyed and your bone marrow is going to suffer. So what it means is the factory where your immune system is built is probably going to come tumbling down. We're going to scorch the field to win the war and we'll rebuild afterwards. What? Say what? ¿Qué onda? No way, Jose. You know, my little brain was like on fire going like, no, what? Okay, let me get this straight. You want to kill every cell in my body and pray that the good ones survive? Doesn't make any sense to me, right? And so I was sitting there and I was like, nope, I don't. I took the folder, I pushed it away from me, and I said, I don't know whose folder you got there, but it ain't mine. And I started to, and yes, I did use the word ain't, right? So I was like, this doesn't make sense. Esto no tiene sentido. Killing every cell to save some cells? That's not science. That to me is craziness. That's a fire hose in the library. I know. I've literally watched cells die under treatment. I know what that looks like, and I knew with certainty I couldn't fully explain that I didn't want my body to go through that. I didn't want that inside my body. Because when I was doing even more research and I had just finished a lesson saying that 5 to 10 years after you've done the chemo and radiation, lots of people die from the after effects of chemo and radiation. So it's like, I'm not doing that. No way, Jose. I stood up. The doctor looked at me. I didn't say anything. There was silence. There was the silence. I mean, a movie moment silence. De película. You could have heard a pin drop. He said, Marty, this is what saves lives. And I said, I understand that you believe that. I'm still not doing it. I wasn't angry. I just said, nope. And I pushed it away and I said, Doc, I'll see you in a year. And he said, Marty, do not walk out. Now, listen to this. I was threatened by this man, okay? He said to me, if you walk out of here, I'm going to turn you in for mental health reasons. And I was like, okay, you do whatever you got to do, Doc, but I'm out of here. I wasn't angry. I wasn't scared yet. Okay. Maybe I was a little scared. But I was certain that there's got to be a better way. There's a difference between those two. Fear says run. Certainty says stand still and breathe, mujercita. So I stood there. I took a breath and I said, I'll see you in a year. And I walked out of that office with my life in my own hands, because that's basically what it is. You walk out of the office after they tell you what they want to give you or they want to do to you. And what happens is you walk out with your life in your own hands. Now, let me be real with you. I didn't walk out of that office into a bed of roses. No, I walked into fear. Big, ugly, knee-shaking fear. When I walked out of the office, I was crying. I couldn't even drive home. I almost peed my pants. And for a week, I second-guessed myself. I cried in the shower. And here's the tricky thing. If you ask my husband, he'll be very angry because I decided not to tell them, because I figured if I told my mom, if I told my husband, and if I told my best friend, it would be real. So instead, I almost called the clinic back, but my hand was literally on the phone. But, let me share. What saved me, and I mean the word literally, was my friend. A holistic doctor that had already like 20 years in practice. And one of the wisest men I know, kindest men I know. And there was another doctor so I went the alternative route. I said, okay, it's not that I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go with the alternative route. So then I mentioned it to my friend, and she showed up at my door with tea and said, Marti, if we're doing this, we're going to do it properly together. I am not leaving your side. Boy. So she didn't leave my side. Emotionally, she didn't leave my side. But that friendship is one of the greatest gifts of my life. And then we started, okay? I reached out to my friend, and then I reached out to an iridologist, and I reached out to Dr. Bernardo, and he was a holistic doctor here in San Diego. And yeah, I began to assemble a team of mentors, doctors, friends that I could count on. And I began to do things, just change everything. My husband's like, okay, luckily my kids were really, really small. And so I had to check my sanity. But my friend was there to hold my hand, because here's the thing that nobody tells you about going the alternative route. You cannot do it alone. You do it with a team that believes in the body's capacity to heal, not just in the body's capacity to be poisoned into submission. So what did properly look like? Well, it looked like me being the nutritionist that I am. I designed my food plan, obviously with help, but I designed my food plan like I was writing a dissertation. Because I knew, mujeres hermosas chulas, I knew something the system forgets. Food is information. And the way that food reacts in your body, that's information. Every bite you take sends a message to every one of your 75 trillion cells. So I started sending better messages to my cells. And in Spanish, let me share with you, this is exactly what I would do. My lemon water in the morning, hold it up to the sky as I say, cada célula de mi cuerpo vibra en armonía con la salud, el amor y la abundancia financiera. Gracias, gracias, gracias. And then I would drink. So what was I saying? Every cell in my body vibrates with love, with prosperity, with good health. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what I was saying before I would drink. And then breakfast became a strategy. Greens went from a side dish to a medicine. So morning time, I would have a bowl of green broccoli with whole butter in it, you know, and a little bit of salt and a little bit of, you know, whatever I felt like having that morning. So, you know, and then berries became my antioxidant army. Turmeric, garlic, ginger, porque, you know, because I was working on inflammation. Because inflammation is like a fire in your body. And I was done letting it burn. I ate for my mitochondria, the tiny power plants that make your energy. I ate for my gut, where most of your immune system lives. I ate color. Comí color, comí verde. Si no era verde, no me lo comía. If it wasn't green, I wasn't going to ingest it. So I ate lots of colors, but mostly green. I ate life. My plate was my pharmacy, and I was the pharmacist. And then the unconventional therapies that I allowed myself to experience, the ones that make people raise an eyebrow. Oof. That's why when people say, how did you do it? I have a hard time answering that, because if they really understood what it was that I was doing, they would probably say, yeah, that's too much work. You see, it's so much easier just to sit there and let the IV drip, right? You're just sitting there, not me. I was working, I was juicing, I was cutting, I was steaming, herbal protocols. You see, I have a degree also from the College of American Medicine on herbology, right? So I knew the herbs. I knew I had a cellular detox. I had a friend who was a massage therapist doing lymphatic work. I made sure I was getting some deep rest. And then here's the tricky part. Obviously, I went through it before there was a lot of technology, before Facebook, before all of that BS. So what I did was I only watched things that would make me laugh or feel good. Deep rest was a discipline. Music was a discipline. And let me tell you, for a mujer who ran a school and who worked in the school community for over, 30 years, resting on purpose was the hardest therapy of all. Let me repeat that. Resting on purpose was the hardest therapy of all. But I would, I knew I needed sun on my skin, and yet I knew I needed something cold on my body. So meditation became a tool I also use daily, and I still use it to the day. Meditation until I could feel my heartbeat slow like a drum settling into a song. Weird. Some of it, honestly. I could feel my heart. I tuned into my heart, and I noticed how with every beat, your body actually moves when you're at stillness. And I would just be there and feel it. A little and sometimes a lot. But it was mine. It was mine. Every protocol was chosen. Every protocol I did was chosen. Every protocol was perfected. I studied. I adjusted. Nothing blind. Everything intentional. Esa fue mi revolución. Not blind faith, but studied trust. And the other thing was, when I would speak to people, I would say, I am well. I am well. I am well. You know how sometimes people say, hey, how you doing? And you say, great, I'm doing fine. No. Fine. I stopped using fine because I used to tease people instead and thought fine means frantic, insecure, negative, and exasperated. So it was like, no, I'm not fine. I am well. I am well is what I used to say. Estoy sana. Estoy sana. No estoy bien. Estoy sana. And here's what happened. And I share this to you, with you, not to brag, but because you need to hear it. My body responded, not overnight, but steady, poquito, 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 little by little. The energy that had been draining out of me for years started coming back. The fog lifted, my skin changed, my mind got quiet and sharp at the same time. My labs told the story that my body was already living. I was a mujer coming back to herself, one cell at a time. I use nutrition, I use supplements, alternative therapies, like I said before, that you would not believe. And I haven't mentioned all of them, because if I mention all of them, you're probably going to think I'm crazy. So I monitored what went into my eyes, what went into my mouth, what went into my nose, what went into my ears. I monitored everything. And I never spent one night in a hospital for that C word. Not one, thank goodness. Knock on wood. My healing happened in my kitchen, my garden, my body, and with my friend in his office, my holistic doctor friend, Dr. Alberto Santa Cruz, and a food plan that I'd written with my own hand. Y ahora? And now, today, I am a 2-time C thriver with more energy than I had in my 30s. Not magic, no es magia. It's just biology. It's biology respected. Because to me, it just wasn't respecting my body to kill everything inside me and hope and lay there wishing, hoping, praying that it would respond. I figured if I was going to do this, I was going to fight my way through it. So here's my question for you, amor chula. And I want you to sit with this because it's important. Where in your life are you saying yes when everything in you, inside of you, every cell, cada célula de tu cuerpo, wants to say no? You see, I learned to say no. I was pushing myself because I was so driven, I was driven. I wanted to be in administration. I became a teacher, and they told me that in order to be a good principal, I had to stay in the classroom for 5 years. So I stayed in the classroom for 5 years, not the same classroom, but I stayed in the classroom for over 5 years, and then went into assistant principalship, and then went into college professor, and now I'm teaching and coaching the real business world, doing what I love. But if you allow yourself to be drained, to have somebody suck the energy out of you, and you are in a job that you don't love, that job will drain you. If you're in a relationship that you don't love, that relationship costs you your health. The schedule, are you like, are you scheduling in breaks? Are you scheduling in health shakes? What are you scheduling in? You see that schedule? If it's so crammed, it leaves nothing for you and your health. So saying no, mujeres hermosas, chulas, Marti Angel says you can say no because it is not a rejection. It is a selection. You're not closing a door, mujeres hermosas, chulas. You're choosing which door to walk through. And so I wrote about it. You guys all know that I'm an author too, and I write on Substack. So if you want to really find out a little bit more, my writing on Substack and Medium is very different than the writing that I had done before. Now I'm writing for being vulnerable. I'm writing for my life. I'm writing for things that I love. I am known as the Sixth Sense Mujer because, yes, I've always had a gift that I've never shared, but I'm starting to share it. So please find me, Marti Angel, on Substack, the Sixth Sense Mujer. And I do the deep dives on Substack. The blog is up as well if you like blogging. It's a little bit shorter. I keep it a little more, lighthearted. It's in English and it's in Spanish too. And if you want to explore foundational nutrition, science-backed cellular support, of which I still take a cocktail of vitamins every day, please reach out to me. I'm not going to share any brand names right here, but reach out to me. If you want to see what I take, reach out to me. Because it's just the foundation of my cells. I always looked at it as what foundation can I give my cells? Besides the fact that I talk to my cells in the morning, I talk to my cells at night when I'm asleep. I just rub my hands all the way up and down my body. I talk to my cells and I say, thank you. I love you. Thank you. And like I said before, cada célula de mi cuerpo vibra en armonía con la salud, el amor y la abundancia financiera. Every cell of my being. Every cell of my being. So, mujeres hermosas, chulas, I'm sharing with you my vulnerability so that you can see that thriving is important, and saying no so that you can thrive is even more important, mujeres hermosas chulas. If you want to hear more of my story, reach out, ask me questions. I have no problem answering them. And let's build your unbounded energy together. I would love to, here's a shameful plug. If you're listening to me on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel, please make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. If you're listening to me wherever you listen to your podcasts, gracias, hermosa, por estar aquí. And remember, with everything you say, with everything you drink, with everything you eat, with everything you feel, your cells are listening. So feed them like you mean it, right? Feed them like you mean it. It's so important. And the other thing I want to share with you is the fact that as I was going through this, I ended up, writing a book called, Change Your Energy, Change Your Life, A Journey Through Your Personal Energy System. And it's on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook, audiobook, or a small book. But I talk about how every chakra energy sits upon the endocrine gland. And I learned a lot about how I was out of sync in my energetic field, how my chakras were actually in reverse motion, if you will. And remember, one of the things you need to understand, una de las cosas que necesitan comprender, cuando un centro de energía, when one center of energy is out of whack, it blows everything out of whack. So, mujeres hermosas chulas, if you found that this story can help somebody else, please share it out. Help me to build a community that we can support, a comunidad de mujeres hermosas, MujerPreneurs. So, hermosas, make sure to check the show notes if you're listening to me wherever you listen to your shows. And if you're here on the Coach Marti Angel YouTube channel and you're still here, gracias por estar aquí. Remember to subscribe, hit that bell, and look for the links that I have in the description below. Okay, hermosas chulas, let's Les dejo un fuerte abrazo, wishing you the best day ever. This is your host of the Mujer de Exito Unbounded show, Marti Angel, Latina Biz Coach, Sixth Sense Mujer, saying gracias por estar aquí. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.